water pollution, the depletion of the ozone layer, the depletion of natural resources. Permanent climate change, it's just one of the many concerns that we're faced as mankind is threatened, our very species being threatened. And my friends, I don't want you to mishear me. I did not come here this morning to kill your Sunday buzz. But I would be lying to you if I said that I don't think that we have a moral and a spiritual obligation to be more fierce advocates for environmental justice. And perhaps, like Lindsay said, my perspective's probably a little bit skewed, right? I work with kids all day long. I have 4 nephews, a niece, another niece on the way, and so I constantly feel this tug. I'm constantly considering, what kind of planet are we leaving behind for future generations? And then, of course, because I'm me, I can't help but think about that famous Spider-Man quote, right? With great power comes great responsibility. Can you say that with me, my friends? With great power comes great responsibility. And I believe that our greatest power, it's our own spiritual awareness. That still small voice inside your heart, it's asking you to lean further into recognizing your spiritual nature as your greatest superpower, and then, my friends, to go into action. This is precisely why we get together on Sunday mornings. We come together as a community to support each other in recognizing our oneness, with the intention of becoming stronger so that we can go into action together. And the truth is, nothing has ever happened in our lives until we decided to go into action. And just to clarify, when I use the word action, I'm referring to the concept of energy that's being applied to an idea. So in this way, just thinking a new thought, well, that can be a form of action. And have you ever noticed how difficult it is for you to wrap your mind around the idea of coming up with a new concept for yourself? Some of our most difficult, most challenging, most necessary, and most worthwhile work is learning how to push ourselves beyond our present belief system. We get so locked into our present belief system that even when we are finally willing to become changed, there's this tremendous amount of resistance that steps in, and it says, excuse you, who do you think you are, right? You ever heard those voices? Amen. Have you ever noticed that absolutely nothing becomes real for us until we've experienced it ourselves? God is not real until God is experienced in our lives. And so often we thought that religion was just a bunch of concepts about God, when in fact religion in its ideal form should help us connect to God, to the God of our understanding, so that God becomes a very real experience for us. Now, have you ever known someone that was relatively new to the spiritual life, right? The seemingly new kid on the block? And they walk into church, and all of a sudden they're discovering this transforming power of God's miracles. And when I say they're discovering miracles, they are legitimately having miracles made manifest, right? And we're sitting over here, we're the old timers. We're sitting in the bleachers and we're wondering, what exactly is going on here? How can this be, right? Well, let me tell you how it can be. In their ignorant enthusiasm, they think that this stuff works. And so they go into action, and you know what? It does work. And we're sitting around and we're praying about it and we're contemplating about it and we're thinking about it, but they're actually the ones doing it. And the reason that they're doing it, in all probability, is because they are caught up in some very real circumstances, some very real events in their lives, which brought them into this level of thinking in the first place. They have a willingness to go to any lengths to have their lives transformed. And I believe for us, for me and you, it becomes increasingly important over and over and over again that we become willing to go to any lengths to have our lives be transformed. Amen. Let the church say amen. Amen. And how do we do it, right? We must learn to anticipate a positive outcome. And while most of us, we understand this principle on some level, it's such a subtle subject, and it can be difficult for us to wrap around our human minds with our limited human intellect. But if you send out certain thought patterns into the universe, you will most likely draw back to yourself that same pattern of thought that you're projecting. So, for example, I know that you've all known people like this, right? People who early on in the week, they let you know, this isn't going to be such a good week, right? And by the middle of the week, they're letting you know, guess what? It's not a good week. And by the end of the week, abacatastasis, it has not been a good week, right? And from this person's perspective, well, that's just the way weeks are, right? But the truth is, all of us have certain areas in our lives where we're expecting a not so favorable outcome. And we get exactly what we expect. And so to change our concept and to go into action expecting a positive outcome, well, that's what we're doing here today. We really get what we expect because we set forces into motion that tend to produce the same kind of outcome that we anticipate. And my friends, we're not dealing with our own little physical energies. We're dealing with a universe that responds in kind. Every moment, every movement that you make creates a ripple into the universal stream of consciousness. Every thought that you think takes form and shape. But when you move beyond the deep waters of your thoughts, well, then great powers come in to reinforce your actions, particularly if you believe. That's to say, if you have faith. So, in what terms do you think about your own life? Is it destructive anticipation? Negative anticipation? Or is it creative, joyful, eager anticipation? How are you looking at your life? And if you're not looking at your whole life, well, then how are you looking at certain aspects of your life? How are you looking at your significant relationship or relationships or your job, your career? How about your relationship to your kids? What do you see? What do you expect? Because what you expect, in all probability, well, that's exactly what we're going to continue to experience, right? And we need only reference the Bible because Jesus laid it out for us. In the 11th chapter of Mark, the 23rd verse, Jesus says, "In truth, I tell you, if anyone says to this mountain, 'Be pulled up and thrown into the sea,' with no doubt in his heart, but believing that what he says will happen, well, it will be done unto him. I tell you, therefore, everything you ask for in prayer, believe that you already have it, and it will be yours." Can I get an amen? Amen. What an incredible statement, right? You just ask for it. Believe it. This is what Jesus says, right? But it hasn't happened yet. How can I believe? Well, Jesus is saying, if you don't believe, it ain't never going to happen. And what does Jesus mean when he says, no doubt in one's heart? Is he talking about an organ of the body that pumps blood? No, of course not. He's talking about the metaphysical interpretation of the word. And we understand the word heart in unity in this context to mean our subjective mind. That is our state of feeling. Your heart, it's always pumping out and filtering what you really believe and what you really feel. And let's face it, what you feel ends up being what you experience. So it's here that Jesus is saying, check it. Check your heart. Become authentically honest with yourself. And then go into action, creating a life where you're answering the call to be more than you ever thought possible. Now, here comes our first test. You ready? Okay. This is the test of examining what's in our hearts. So I want everybody to go ahead and close your eyes. I'm going to ask just a couple of simple questions. How do you react to the daily life, to the daily events in your life? What are your fears? Are you a good friend to your friends? A good employee? A good spouse? Really? And how do you feel about your relationships? Or about your job? How do you feel about your life? How do you really feel? Take a good long look. Are you easy to live with? Are you easy to work with? And if not, well, why not? Are you honest? I don't mean do you ever lie. I mean, are you honest with yourself? Are you willing to take a look at yourself, to critique yourself, rather than to criticize other people? You want to take a good look inside and find out. You can go ahead and open your eyes. Now, what is separating us from the life that we wish to experience? Because the only thing that separates us from the life that we want is what's in our heart. It's those things in our heart or in our subconscious mind that keep us from really coming to believe and embracing our true spiritual identity. It's the work of raising your level of consciousness. It has very little to do with acquiring material possessions, but instead, it has everything to do with unlocking your innate spiritual capacity to change the collective consciousness of this world. And let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, the world has never been so desperate for people like us to step into the allness of what we can do. I'm going to venture to say that most of us, we understand the metaphor of placing a frog in a boiling pot of water. We've heard this before. That if you were to put a frog in a boiling pot of water, it would instantly react the moment it touched the liquid, and it would be out of there faster than the blink of an eye. But if you put that same frog in a pot of cold water and put a slow burn to it, it would just sort of get lukewarm and then a little bit warmer and a little bit warmer. But that frog would enter into a comfort zone, and he would become so comfortable that he ends up sitting there cooking himself. That, my friends, it's precisely what you and I have been doing in certain areas of our life. Just sitting there, cooking ourselves without moving. Because I guarantee there are some things that you're involved with right now that if they happened instantly, you'd be out of there like that. But because those situations, because they happen slowly, you've accepted them as being acceptable. And you've come to believe that there's nothing that can be done about it, and that even God herself can't do anything about your current situation. And you know what? In that case, you would be right. Because God can't do anything until you make the decision to go into action. The moment you decide on a matter and go into action, it will be established for you. That's the universal law of spiritual reality. We may fail, sure, but the principle works every single time we do it. And it's here that I'm reminded of my favorite quote by Fillmore. When at 94 years old, that frail little dude sat at the end of his bed with his crooked little hand and his little notepad, and he said, "I fairly sizzle with zeal and enthusiasm as I spring forth with a mighty faith to do the things that ought to be done by me today." Amen. I'll take it. Now, if Fillmore, in his 94th year, can feel that way, what about me and you, right now, in this moment? So let's get to it. Let's do these things that ought to be done by us. And in the doing of them, let them be for the glory of God. Let them be for our own spiritual transformation. Let them be so that we can prove God's power in our lives. This is what is meant by the glory of God. Our lives becoming a reflection of God's creativity. My dear friends, my Unity family, we are part of a living, loving universe that's alive with action and motion, and we need to be excited every single day about the opportunity to participate fully in all that life brings. Let every action we take, let every decision we make, let it be guided from within. And as we allow this guidance to take place, joy and acceptance, it fills our entire being with confidence and trust. And we are transformed through the action of God's amazing grace. That really is the way it is when we believe it, when we put our faith in it. The proof of our concept of God is this: the way I meet the world is the way my world meets me. If I meet it divinely, then it shows up as divine. If I meet it from the authenticity of my spirit, then it returns to me as love, heaped up, pressed down, and overflowing. And when we are willing to go into action, to do the things that need to be done by us, those things are rewarded. And not just the reward of success or of accomplishment, but in the form of an authentic transformation where we honor our incredible spiritual power and our responsibility to function in the world as instruments of God's peace. And that's the way it really is. Namaste. Thank you. And now we prepare for meditation. So breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth, become aware of any negative thoughts leaving your body. From the top of your head to the tip of your toes, we now release and let go. You are now immersed in the comforting glow of God's love. And you feel this love filling up your entire body, saturating your mind and every cell with a warm golden glow. You feel this love remove any thoughts of worry or anxiety, taking comfort in knowing that the Spirit of God is always with you in all circumstances. This thought alone, it elevates us, and we feel peace and contentment. Notice as you breathe, your mind is still and at peace, that you are calm. Spirit is flowing through you now, and you feel a sense of security wash over you. Peace, truth, love. You are never alone. Peace and love and truth are always but a breath away. And now, we take just a few moments in the silence to be with this peace, with this love, and with this truth. And now we take another deep breath and slowly start to return to our physical space. And as we emerge from this time of reflection and meditation, we know that the Spirit of God works in and through us, bringing peace and possibilities to our lives. And we are so grateful. Amen.
Lynn and I missed last week, and boy did we miss it, because we are grateful for the spiritual experience that we have just had today. Thank you, Chris, for your wonderful and perfect message for today. Thank you to our choir. Yes. Our choir, Juan, Fred, Sophie, and Adrian, for are hearing this wonderful message, and it goes into our hearts with their beautiful and wonderful vocalizing. Thank you for that as well. And thank each one of you for being here today. In the 65th year of this congregation, we are reimagining Unity of Oak Park. The ministry is doing so many wonderful things. First, YouTube live stream. We're so grateful for that. And we are grateful for those who have contributed so much to make that a possibility. By your prayers, your gifts of your prayers, the gifts of your abilities to enable us to tap into those volunteers that do so much to make this ministry move forward. And also for those people who are able to give financially to make this ministry flourish as we move into this new and wonderful experience. We are grateful for them, and we are grateful for the opportunities that are given to be able to do that. We have the Tithely app that is available on our website. Very simple, donate, and it's done, and it can be a recurring gift as well. For those who would prefer to send their checks to Unity of Oak Park, we will accept them as well and deposit them and send them on in this ministry. And finally, for anyone who is here in person, we have those columns that are near each double doors to be able to drop your offering in there, and we will handle it just as well and be blessed by it. And now let us remember how truly blessed we are. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. As I invite any of our prayer chaplains to come join me in front for our prayer, I did something earlier this week, and it almost touched you. You must have been touching. You must have been connecting with me, because in Lindsay's class we had a spot where we had to do some affirmations in a breakout room, and I wrote this one down. life unfolds before me and I readily accept it. And it just hit me because that is exactly what we're doing today. Life is unfolding. And for this we are very grateful. We're grateful for everybody who has given so much to this wonderful ministry. And now let us remember that as we recite our offertory prayer together. Divine love, expressing as me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive, and all that I am. And so it is. Thank you so much for the privilege of being with you today and for the privilege of us being together. And if you have need for a prayer chaplain, Ron is here, I am a prayer chaplain. We would love to pray with you if you have a need for a particular purpose. Come see us after the service. We'll be visiting with any one of you, so please do so. Also, if you would like to continue this wonderful prayer ministry and have another experience with it, Monday night at 7:30 via Zoom, we will meet for our prayer and meditation group. It's a wonderful and blessed experience where we learn, where we grow, and where we share. Thank you very much, and have a blessed day.
I would like to invite back up Sophie Fuentes.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky. Oh, people in the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're just really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow, they'll learn much more than I'll never know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Oh yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chris. Thank you for that wonderful lesson. It reminds me of what a mentor taught me. I am the thinker that thinks the thoughts that makes the things. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Minnie Robinson. A great way to know what is happening here at Unity of Oak Park and be engaged is by grabbing your phone and scanning the QR code in front of you. If you have your phone handy, scan and see what we have going on. For people on Zoom or here, you may also look at our website or watch the slides before and after the service. Here are a couple of things, exciting things to check out here. Memorial service for Margie M. Howard on April 30th at 1 p.m. here at Unity of Oak Park. Cinco de Mayo celebration May 1st. Mother's Day corsage making workshop on Saturday morning, May 7th. And Friendship Sunday, May 8th, and every second Sunday going forward. We also would like to bless our youth and our youth director, Chris. Please join us for the prayer. I was on a roll there, okay. Okay. Please join us for the prayer of protection, followed by the peace song as we conclude this service. Please recite the prayer with the congregation, Minnie. I read that to myself, and I'm doing it for you. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever I are, God is, and all is well. Amen.
And let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Happy Sunday, everyone!